Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my journey as I go through my favorites list on fanfiction.net. I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Dhaman Mehta. Sorry. Oh god, I'm so out of practice with doing these videos because I'm taking so long. I think last video had a month between it, and I think this video had a month between. It's like, god damn. Sorry. It's not intentional. I swear, uh, this, I want to get this done. I got like 400 more stories to go, and I really do want to get that. I don't want this to take another like 3 years. So, but let's go in. Just dive into these stories, starting with Naruto's Butterfly by Gadman85. And this is a Naruto crossover with American McGee's Alice, where Naruto like basically screws up his summoning jutsu, ends up summoning Alice during like the course of her game and right before a little bit before Shippuden starts. And so this is one of the stories where I think the amount of fan fiction I read, and like especially like kind of on this in this exercise, has kind of come against it falls against the story, because I just could not get myself invested in this story. I found myself uninterested. It did not help that the first two chapters of this were super slow and just focus on the individuals like training and just do small training segments, which was just really tedious and boring. And I just throughout the entire thing, when I was reading it, I just did not find myself caring, and I gave up after a few chapters. I just couldn't find the will to continue this onwards. So this is one where I suggest like possibly give it a look if the idea of the crossover makes you interested. Give it a look. Maybe you'll be able to find more into it than I did, but I didn't find it investing. It's gonna fall off my list. Number 2 is Blended Blood by Wicked Fairy 17, and this is a Harry Potter crossover with the Avengers MCU, where Harry is Loki's son, and I think this story is another one similar, where it falls on the sword of my irritability and lack of patience. The early chapters of this story basically zoom through Harry's school years, like with each chapter being a year, and each chapter consisting of like a handful of scenes that happen throughout the year, with no connective tissue to fill the gaps. They're very much just like snippets of that happened during that year. And by the time that changes to the actual like canon were happening, I was just too sick of that format to keep reading. And then afterwards, I do know it does get into the MCU for a bit before it ends. So if you want to be a bit of that, you can give this a look, but you have to also do be aware this story only really ran for 6 months, and from like 2013 to still like June of 2013. So there's not much for it to really get into. It doesn't go off on its own thing. It gets to, I believe, the Avengers movie, the main line, the first one from 2012. But that's really it. So I'd say give it a look, but this is another one where like I just did not have the patience to enjoy this, and it's gonna fall off my list. Number 3 is another Harry Potter crossover, this time with X-Men Evolution, which is called Beyond the Veil, Volume 1, Arrival, by Mega Matt 09. So this is basically one where during the Order of the Phoenix, Harry jumps through the veil and ends up in the Marvelverse, where he joins the cast of X-Men Evolution, basically right before the start of that series happened. And I do say Marvelverse because while the main focus is on X-Men Evolution and their plot line, the rest of Marvel does exist in this story, and we get trips to like New York, where they visit the Fantastic Four's building and see that Spider-Man and Gwen Stacy are there, pulling from I think the Amazing Spider-Man timeline like cast. I know there's Doctor Strange and stuff like that. So all these characters there and it adds so we get more weight than just the mutants, and it flows really well enough. Felt a lot like the TV show with the extra elements slotting in nicely. But it also like the problem is like it had all that, but it also again fell in thing where like there wasn't any one thing that made me really want to read and like focus on this story as opposed to the others for me. Again, like I believe this is once this one especially. I feel like it's a personal taste issue where the story's good but not for me, and I feel like if you're interested, you should definitely give this a look, especially because this author did have two more sequels. Like this one's complete, and he did have two more volumes to this story where it would further stuff. Um, so and they're all really really long, so you have a lot to unpack here if you enjoy it. But personally, for me, it's not going to stay on my list, and those other two volumes will not be showing up in later videos because they were not on my list either. Next is ExPrince of Konoha, New King of Devoluke by Master Adalon. And we got another Naruto crossover with To Love Ru, harem anime. And this one is Naruto is an alien, and also like all of the all the shinobi are basically aliens, and the main villages are different alien planets. But he like ran away and ended up as the main character of To Love Ru, Rito's childhood friend and neighbor. And so, but when Lala shows up, she shows up in Naruto's house instead, so everything ends up happening to him. It's weird, like it's nothing amazing or spectacular, and the author just, at the end, eventually the author just decided to quit writing, so the ending is like pretty damn abrupt and half-assed. But I did enjoy the harem antics here a lot and the shenanigans. I don't really ask for much more in comedy fix. Like, do I enjoy the comedy and the humor? And I really did. The first few chapters did feel kind of more like the generic harem anime stuff like that. But after that, the humor became a lot more random and referencey. And if you followed this tale, I like that stuff a lot, and I enjoyed it here too. I find it like basically like if you want a bunch of laughs, cheap laughs, and like that style of humor, you'll probably enjoy it, even if it cuts abruptly, because the jokes while you are there with this group are there. Don't come looking here for narrative satisfaction and plot satisfaction. Just come here for if you want some random harem anime shenanigans. I enjoyed this, and it's gonna stay on my list. Next is it's spelled wrong. It's remuneration. Should be remuneration or maybe it is for remuneration for instructional services by Stephen Ratliff. And this is a single joke one shot Harry Potter little tale that surrounds basically a little bit after surrounds like the consequences of Harry's teaching of the DA and some owl results. It's mildly amusing. I didn't get a huge laugh out when I reread it. I didn't get a huge laugh out of it, but it did bring like a small smile to my face. So and for these kind of joke fics that are like super short single jokes, if you've seen, like, I normally don't mind. It basically comes down to when I come back and reread this, did I still laugh like hard and did I really enjoy it? In this case, I didn't. I only found myself like smiling a bit and like thinking like, oh, that's cute. So like I feel like this joke is not something that needs to be repeated or reviewed or can last multiple viewings. It's a joke, but it is a joke that you should go and read once and enjoy it. But favorites list comedy and stuff as for stuff that I'd like to come back to and still enjoy and have that gut laugh. So for me, it's gonna fall off my favorites list, but I do say to give it a look and just enjoy the joke for one time. Okay. Next to last for this video, we have Chances by Crazy Duck 5280. And this is a short story in the Harry Potter verse that reworks Harry's trial in the Order of the Phoenix into a confrontation that ends Voldemort and gives us a little bit of the aftermath. It's okay. It's fine. It's perfectly serviceable, but nothing memorable, and I pretty much forgot about it a day after I read it. And I think anybody who will reads it too, because there's no big like super moments. It's just fine enough fic if you just want to read something, but it's not going to stick with you, and it's going to fall off my list. Right, and last we have The Adventure of Dr. Hooves Series 1 by Time Pony Victorious. This is a My Little Pony crossover with Doctor Who, where the 11th Doctor regenerates, not really, but he turns into a pony and ends up in Equestria, where he takes on the main six as a rotating cast of companions because he's like stuck in Equestria and never free. So that's a little. This story is pretty good, even though a bunch of the adventures are thinly painted recreations of other Doctor Who episodes. One of the ones I remember, the Doctor's daughter basically gets a 1-to-1 remake. But the events are still enjoyable enough, and the fact that the partners change with each trip, because like he's stuck in Equestria and like the main town, so they do jump out before, but instead of just going on one trip to the next, like he's constantly coming back, and so that allows him to shuffle out who he takes on his trip. So like the first one is with just Twilight, and then the next one is like Twilight and Rarity or something like that, and then another one is Applejack and Rainbow Dash. Like it's a mix of different differing personalities and stuff, and it keeps anything from getting stale, and it keeps it interesting. So if you want some ponyfied versions of the Doctor with the 11th, because even though he did regenerate, the personality and all his tics are still Matt Smith's Doctor. It really is. Then I think you will find yourself enjoying it here. And I do think this is a good enough story. The problem here for me is just I don't see myself ever wanting to search this out again or come back to this again. So I think it's a good story to give it a look if you like Doctor Who and the stuff, but personally it's not going to stay on my favorites list. And there we have it for this video. Now read 800 fanfiction status time. I've read 857 stories, and 402 of them have stayed on my list. So there we go. I swear I'm going to try and get these out, but I know the next set of stories, like I've looked at them, and there's a bunch of long ones on there. So I honestly, like, I'm going to try, but I wouldn't be surprised if the next video also takes a month, which I'm going to be sorry for. As always, links to all the stories are in the description down below. If you like anything I said here, then please leave a like or a comment. If you think I'm an idiot and my taste is trash, go ahead and leave a dislike and leave a comment telling me I'm an idiot. But please, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.